Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630.
Very good morning. It's 7:37 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. Right over there is Brian, and I'm Larry.
I'm here.
Good morning, Brian. We've got one of our favorite guests.
Yeah, he's always my favorite. I mean, he always brings it.
The best thing about Stuart Varney, who's the host of Varney Company on Fox Business Network, is you can throw anything at him, and he'll have an answer for you. Well, watch this. Hey, Stuart, what do you think of David Beckham's final game for the LA Galaxy, winning back-to-back championships in MLS?
I could care less. I can test the man's tattoos, okay?
Well, all right, there. And there you have it, Stuart.
And I don't like that phony British accent of his either.
Wait a minute. Oh, that's right, because he's a Spaniard now that he plays for Real Madrid, right? Yeah. Stuart, thanks for joining us today. So here we go, fiscal cliff negotiations. It's getting. I don't know what to make of this, because you hear all this fractured discussion out of the Republican conference. You had Senator Jim DeMint hammering John Boehner for his proposal, which was rejected completely. Within 30 seconds of it reaching the Oval Office. If Jim DeMint, representing the Tea Party Republicans, hate it, and the president hates it, what are we going to end up with here?
It's a total stalemate at the moment, at least publicly. That's what it looks like. The Republicans are split, and the president appears to be holding firm, very firm, on two non-negotiable lines in the sand. Line number one, he insists on higher tax rates on the rich, and number two, he insists on a blank check. No debt ceiling. Get rid of it for good. Let me borrow as much as I want. Those are two very dramatic lines, and he's literally drawn those lines. I don't think he's going to retreat from them.
Yeah, how's that unlimited borrowing working out in the Eurozone?
Sarcasm is a low form of wit, Larry, but I do take your point.
You pay Varney pegged me.
Yeah, look, you raise a good point. We are going down the European road. We don't seem to be caring much about it. Those of us in the financial business really do care. And people like me, Europeans, who come over here looking for a free market America, we're kind of disappointed when we see America now going more and more like Europe. So I take your point, Larry. I really do.
So there was this thing that happened on the floor of the Senate yesterday. Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader, says, all right, Mr. President, you've laid out your proposal. I'm going to allow everybody here in the Senate to take a vote on that. We're going to attach it to this trade bill we got going. So Democrats, line right up here and vote for the president's plan. And Harry Reid rushed out and stopped it because he knows that they don't have the votes to even support the president's plan on the Democratic side of the aisle.
What a mess. What an absolute mess. I'm picking up from my viewers fiscal cliff and politician fatigue. They really are angry about this. That's a terrible thing in the television business because they just turn you right off. Yeah. Mention fiscal cliff and they've gone. It's a very important subject, but I think there is this sense of fatigue and a real gut-wrenching frustration. For heaven's sake, what are these games that's going on? Because we've got a cliff deadline that is very fast approaching.
Yes.
I think the stock market is going to get real nervous about this real soon.
Thank you. That was my next question. I mean, you're getting the fatigue from Main Street, but what about Wall Street? You saw Apple take an enormous hit this week. It's not necessarily directly related to these negotiations, but ultimately in the banking sector, in the investment sector, we're going to start seeing some real ramifications here.
Well, actually, Larry, I think the Apple sell-off is related.
Oh, tell me.
Yeah, because no matter how you slice it, the tax on stock profits, the tax on capital gains from the stock market is going to go up next year. Everybody knows it. Everybody can see it coming. So what do? You take your profit this year.
This is the Christmas bonus, so you don't have to get taxed higher since you're getting it now.
Anybody who's bought a share of Apple in the past 2 or 3 years is sitting on a very healthy profit. Well, if you sell it now and take that profit, you're going to be taxed at a lower rate than you would if you sold the stock on January the 2nd.
And that has been a very profitable stock if you got in at the right time.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Now, I'm the idiot who did not take his daughter's advice to buy Apple when it was $57 a share.
Wow.
Instead, I bought Microsoft. And people come to me for financial advice. Isn't that incredible?
Stuart Varney's our guest. Of course, he's the host of Varney Company on Fox Business Network weekdays. And Stuart, let's shift gears a little bit in terms of the ramifications of the president being reelected. Obamacare is here to stay, it appears. And one of the interesting things that we were talking about earlier today was the fact that restaurants now have to show their caloric intake for all of the menu items that they have. And apparently Domino's restaurant has talked about this, and there are up to 34 million different different ways to order pizzas from them with all the various combinations. What kind of economic impact is this going to have that will, of course, ultimately be passed on to the consumer?
Negative. Very negative impact. I can just see the lawyers swarming on this one. If there's a mistake in one particular variety of Domino's pizza, a mistake in the calorie count, they'll sue them.
Oh.
There'll be a class action lawsuit. You deceived me. There are 10 more calories than I thought I was taking in. I want $1 million. It's amazing, isn't it, how you can have a piece of healthcare legislation, now, as big as this, and every special interest stuffs in their 10 cents worth.
Right.
What the devil, may I say,
it's what,
has calorie counting on a pizza got to do with my health care?
This has to do, though, and this is what always happens in Washington. You pass this piece of legislation, and everybody thinks they know what the legislation is going to do, but they don't think about all the possibilities. And there are all these unintended consequences to the legislation that gets passed in this town.
I think they're intended consequences, frankly. I think that they're looking, this is exactly what they want. They're asserting more control.
The food police are very powerful.
There's one really powerful food police. She happens to sleep with the president.
Let's just be clear. He's talking about the First Lady, Michelle Obama.
I'm glad you clarified that one, Larry.
Sure. All right. And Stuart, now, I'm sure you saw this video yesterday. The president, for some reason, the president trying to gain support for the fiscal cliff went to Detroit. And, of course, Detroit is the new Nirvana. It's the utopia. It's the perfect city because the president, by bailing out the auto industry, Detroit is roaring back. And this woman stands up and basically says, hey, we helped you get elected. Now, where's our payoff? Where's
the
our
bacon?
Yeah.
Look, this is wrong on so many counts. It's not even funny. Detroit voted 73% for President Obama. So a city council member stands up and says, hey, we voted for you. We want a quid pro quo. Now you come out and help us. That's a flat-out call for a bailout. Now, that's morally wrong. Why should people in Texas or Oklahoma have to pay for the mistakes of Detroit? B, it's politically wrong, since when did we elect politicians simply to get money out of them for our pet interest? Well, maybe we've always done that, but we're certainly doing it now. And third, it will not work. You can chuck money into this bottomless pit of Detroit all day long, and when they've run through it, they'll want some more. It doesn't solve the problem.
Stuart Varney, thank you so much for joining us this morning. As always, you rock our world.
He just brings it every time.
Does.
Hey, Stuart.
See y'all.
Talk to you